Wakey wakey, the Kellogg's football camps are back this summer. To claim a free place, grab a promotional pack of Kellogg's cornflakes, Cocoa Pops or Rice Krispies. More information is available via the link in the description of this episode. In this episode, you'll learn how you can't please everyone, how Bradley Barcola's mum was his first ever coach, and how practice makes you... what is it? You didn't just say perfect, did you? Welcome to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. It's time for yet another PSG player on the Football for Kids show. And a PSG player who is quickly becoming one of the best in the side. He's the young Frenchman who came from Lyon and is now doing some brilliant things in Paris. Of course, it's no other than the PSG number 29, Bradley Barcola. Before we get into it, a massive shout out to everyone who is writing in and responding on Spotify. If you didn't know, when you listen to an episode on Spotify, you can then reply to the comments on that episode in Spotify. And hundreds of you are doing so. Just like Sam Jonas GB. Iconic podcast, it is brilliant. I am from England and my name is Zach and I really enjoy the podcast. Thanks for all the episodes. Can you make one about Arsenal? Thanks. And that one is from Zach. Well, Zach, a huge, humongous, massive shout out to you, everybody that you know, and don't you worry, Arsenal is on my list of episodes which I need to write. Another person who's got in touch via Spotify is no other than Clancy Ventures. Hi, my name is Finn. I'm from New Zealand. Can you please shout out me and my brothers and my mum? It would mean a lot to us. P.S. Messi is the best. Well, Finn, and all your brothers and your mum, a massive shout out to you, everybody in your family and every single person that you know in New Zealand and beyond and around the world. Thank you so much for being a listener of the Football for Kids podcast. Please share it with all your friends and your family and let me know what your favourite episode is on Spotify in the comments in reply to this episode. And the last one from Spotify comments, which I've picked out randomly this week, is from Messi. Maybe it is Messi. Is it you, Messi? Is it Lionel Messi who plays for Inter Miami, the Barcelona legend? I'm not sure if it is, because it says, please, can I have a shout out? I'm from Australia and my name is Lawson. I play for Gisborne Soccer Club in Victoria. Well, good day to you, Lawson. Thank you very much for being a listener of the Football for Kids podcast, mate. Always great to know we got listeners down under. And, hopefully you'll enjoy this episode, mate. And, a big shout out to everyone at Gisborne Soccer. Sorry about the accent. I just sometimes can't help myself. I know the accents are terrible. Don't worry. Right then, let's get into this episode, shall we? On Bradley Jean-Manuel Barcola. Born on the 2nd of September 2002 in France, and he was born into a family who loved their football. And it was actually Bradley's mother who was the main person who got her son into it, as she used to play football as a youngster herself. And it was her who certainly got things started in terms of teaching him the basics. And then his dad got involved as well, as his dad was a big footballing man himself and he had a big input on the early days of Bradley Barcola's footballing life and career. When I say that Bradley comes from a football-loving family, I mean he really did. We've already established that his mum and his dad loved their football and did a lot of coaching with him as a kid and as a toddler, but they also did the same with his brother, Malcolm Barcola, who was a professional goalkeeper in the French divisions. Bradley used to go to the training sessions with his older brother when he was very little, and he would always be seen dribbling a football up and down the sidelines, that kid who was always there, and it looked like he had a football glued to his feet. He was desperate to be doing the same thing as his big brother. And at around 6 years old, he eventually did. He joined a local team, and he poured his heart and soul into it, loving every single minute that he spent training and playing the beautiful game of football. Bradley Barcola, when he was a youngster, was known by the people around him and his coaches as a really polite and wonderful little lad who was a pleasure to be around. He had a lovely nature about him, a calm nature, until he stepped over the line on a football pitch with a pair of football boots on, and this is where he got his nickname, Livewire, as he would be quite literally everywhere, covering more of the pitch than anyone else, constantly on the go, and his energy levels were through the roof. People would watch him and think to themselves, he has to slow down at some point, and he didn't. The coaches who coached Bradley when he was a youngster said that he was an absolute pleasure to manage and coach. He never said no or had a negative attitude. He listened and he got on with it. He was a coach's dream because he wanted to learn, and that is what made him the great player that he has become. The coaches also said that his parents were a delight. They were enthusiastic, but they were never pushy in his learning or his game time. They let the coaches coach, and they had a lot to do with his early success as a player. With that great attitude that Bradley had and the amazing work ethic, his well-mannered nature and his politeness, he soon caught the eye of football scouts around France. And at around 8 years old, he got signed up to one of the big clubs in French football, which was Lyon. When Bradley joined Lyon, he and his family made the decision that he wouldn't be living at the academy, like many of the others normally do. A lot of the time when kids join the supreme football academies, they have in-house tutors and teachers to ensure that their schoolwork is never missed or put on the bottom of the pile, and the kids who play in these academies quite literally live and breathe the club. For Bradley, he loved the family of Lyon, but he said to be able to go home to his actual family each night was something which couldn't be contended with. So he would spend several hours a week at the academy, then he would go home and practice even more with his dad on the pitch. For Bradley, this sort of stuff always comes back to that player who inspired him as a youngster. Everyone's got a player, and for him, it was no other than Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo taught him to work very hard, and really importantly, to never give up, which is exactly the message we talk about on this podcast, pretty much every single episode that I release. Bradley kept plugging away, working hard and never giving up at the Lyon Academy, and naturally, he just kept getting better in terms of his ability, his speed and his strength. He would often be playing with the older kids and the older teams inside the academy because he was just a level above the majority of the lads his age. All of those hours of non-stop practicing had given him an edge that the others didn't have. Because what does practice make? If you said perfect again, I'm afraid you're wrong. I don't think anyone or anything can be perfect. I would rather say that practice makes permanent. Because the more you practice, the more you can permanently get better. But anyone who thinks they're perfect, I'm afraid, in my opinion, they're wrong. Practice makes permanent. As the years went by, it was always going to be that Bradley Barcola would sign a professional contract with his boyhood club. He'd worked too hard for it not to happen, and when he became a teenager, he did just that. He impressed the manager at the time of the men's first team and got some opportunities there. But there were some serious players in the squad for him to contend with, and this meant that he certainly didn't get it all his own way, and he really had to prove himself at every training session, at every opportunity he got on the pitch. Bradley was patient. He kept working his socks off with the men's first team, and eventually he got more chances. He started scoring goals, making assists, and then he would be voted as the player of the month on more than one occasion. And then a couple of big moments come for him, and one of them may well have been the reason why he had a future at PSG as a PSG player, when he scored a cracking goal in an away game at PSG. PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, were the heavy favourites to win the league match that day. But Bradley hadn't just scored the goal to win it for Lyon, he'd scored the goal for PSG to lose the game overall. The people in charge at PSG now had their eyes firmly on him, and they knew exactly who he was and what he was about. He was a dangerous player, and a dangerous player that they now wanted so desperately. Barcola was a great example for Lyon as a club. He was a player who started with them as a youngster in their prestigious and famous training academy, and he went on to play in the men's first team, scoring crucial goals and winning games that were the toughest in the season. In the summer of 2023, having not forgotten the game that they had lost at home to Lyon, PSG went in for their man. They wanted the formidable forward Bradley Barcola. They wanted him in a PSG kit, and they paid over €45 million to secure him. Lyon fans were not happy with Bradley because he wanted to go. They let him know about it, and when the news was announced, my goodness did he get some boos. He was booed at every opportunity that the Lyon fans got the opportunity to do so. Because, like I said at the start, you'll never please everyone. If you'd like to listen to the show completely ad-free, then please consider either subscribing on Apple Podcast or via Patreon. Bradley started at PSG and had to once again fight for his position on the pitch. In a star-studded squad like PSG, this wasn't the easiest of things to do. He had to work harder than he'd ever worked before, and eventually he got himself as a regular starting 11 player, scoring goals and making some beautiful assists. It took Bradley a little while to get into the swing of things at PSG, like it does with most players joining a new club, no matter what the level is you're playing at. He kept working super hard and eventually he started to find his feet. The chemistry of his manager and his teammates got better, and because of that, he naturally did too. In February, he scored his first Champions League goal for PSG against Real Sociedad, which did some great things for him. His confidence and his profile, of course. And then, in the Champions League quarter-finals, he absolutely terrorised the Barcelona defence for 90 minutes in a game, which PSG would go on to win 4-1. Bradley was a serious player, and a player the defenders were worried about, and in football, that is a very, very good thing. As I record this in July 2025, he has had 2 seasons with PSG. He scored some wonderful goals, made some incredible assists, and he's won a trophy or 2 with that famous club from Paris. He's only 22 years old as we record this, and has a long, long career ahead of him, both as a club player and for his country of France. So, let's enjoy watching him, and without doubt, learning from him too. So remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time. Oh, and adults, if you wouldn't mind just taking 30 seconds to share the show on your own social media or in any WhatsApp groups or whatever it is that you've got, then please do so. It would help me a great deal and I would appreciate it beyond belief. And if you want to tag me on anything on Instagram, I am Darren Rees _. And remember, the Rees is REES. Thank you so much in advance for your help and your support.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.